Welcome to the Undercurrent, your source for independent, on-the-ground political reporting. I'm Lauren Windsor, and today we'll talk about the hedge fund exploitation of Puerto Rico. Struggling with $72 billion in debt and a stagnant economy on the island, the Puerto Rican government is considering defaulting on its bond obligations when a $354 million payment comes due on Tuesday, December 1st. A group of 34 hedge fund managers released a report last July calling on Puerto Rico to give tax breaks to the wealthy, raise taxes on lower income Puerto Ricans, eliminate or lower the minimum wage, privatize public assets, and make extreme budget cuts, including to education. This after the island has already closed 100 schools in the last year. At a recent event in D.C. hosted by Americans for Financial Reform, Congresswoman Nydia Velazquez called the situation unfolding in Puerto Rico a humanitarian crisis.
As the island's economy took a dramatic turn for the worse in the last 2 years, bond prices plummeted and yields soared. Hedge funds saw this as an opportunity and began investing heavily. Today, they hold as much as, some say 20%, others say 30% of Puerto Rico's securities. Unfortunately, they are using this leverage to lobby for draconian cuts that harm residents of Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans living by the thousands, humanitarian crisis. This is how everyone in Puerto Rico, this is how everyone describes the situation.
These hedge funds are trying to block Puerto Rico from entering into bankruptcy protection, a status which allowed Detroit to make its own economic rebound.
After Detroit had their restructuring, they actually continued to get investment and be able to sell bonds, be able to take credit out at a 4.4% interest rate. And that's why the majority of investors in the Puerto Rico situation want a bankruptcy process, is it creates the economic stability that's needed for economic growth to take place, for their restructuring to actually get paid off and continue to win an investment, but I think even more importantly, allowing the space for investment in the future. And then what's really lacking here is the type of policies that we had in place for Detroit or New York City that we just don't have in place for Puerto Rico.
41% of this U.S. territory's population already lives in poverty. Further austerity measures may mean that U.S. taxpayers will be on the hook for debt relief aid, money that advocates say is often targeted by Vulture hedge funds.
As we won billions and billions of dollars of debt relief and social investment for the countries that need it most, we were compelled to look at the activity of predatory hedge funds because we were devastated to see that predatory hedge funds, known as vulture funds, were targeting and actually collecting the aid monies that we were winning to build schools and hospitals in some of the poorest countries in the world. These predatory hedge funds were collecting debt relief aid monies that were funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars, but at the same time avoided paying taxes, U.S. taxes, by being domiciled in tax havens. Right now, we've seen specifically what that's meant for Greece, Detroit, and Argentina, and we're looking at Puerto Rico now with some of these same hedge funds in mind to seeing what it might mean for the island of Puerto Rico.
Beyond targeting debt relief and domiciling overseas, there are further ways that hedge fund managers feast on U.S. taxpayer largesse, most notably through the carried interest loophole, which former funny man and current U.S. Senator Al Franken calls unjustifiable.
One of those loopholes, of course, is the carried interest loophole. You know, Donald Trump came out against this loophole, and and everything he suggests is extremely well considered. So I think we ought to be paying attention to him. But I think that this is just wrong. How often do you get tens of billions of dollars potentially as a pay for, and over 10 years, hundreds of billions of dollars that that you're just getting rid of something no one can justify.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Undercurrent on YouTube and like us on Facebook for more independent, on-the-ground political reporting. I'm Lauren Windsor. Thanks for watching. Get pulled in to the Undercurrent.
Undercurrent under the surface makes the mainstream get so nervous. It's time for purpose, for news to serve us, not with propaganda they use to hurt